This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. Cathartic win on an important day for New Yorkers everywhere. A walk-off victory over the Kansas City Royals on September 11th, a day spent mourning the 23rd anniversary of the worst moment in this city's history, and the New York Yankees wore their FDNY and NYPD hats and delivered. They did it. They won an exciting baseball game against a potential playoff rival. That's 2 out of 3 against the Kansas City Royals, who lined up Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo and Brady Singer for this series, while the Yankees just had to roll with Marcus Stroman in here, and Luis Gil will give you 5 innings, and Carlos Rodon, he's been a little bit up and down. The Yankees did not have everything set up, and the Royals did, and the Yankees still took the series, continuing the Royals' struggles this year against above 500 teams and potential playoff opponents. That's the good, and we got a lot of good. We got Luke Weaver. We got Jazz Chisholm. We got Jasson Dominguez in the big leagues. He was not on the Major League roster the last time we did a podcast. We got Austin Wells with the clutch gene in the opener. We got some stuff we need to see continuing for the rest of the season. I honestly don't hate what I'm seeing from Alex Verdugo lately. Ian Hamilton, great cameo. More, please. But there's still plenty to be mad about. A lot of slop from the Yankees in this one. Defensive miscues in wins, not just losses. Ugly base running yesterday. Weird decision-making. They were able to get out of this series with a couple of victories in games that I think everybody expected them to lose. The death lineup goes on Tuesday and straight up dies. They sucked in that game. The Aaron Judge Paw Patrol curse might be real. Juan Soto hit a screamer off his own foot. And I have a message for Yankee fans who are actively rooting for the Red Sox this week. You might have to take their medicine during the weekend. I really hope they don't. I hope we kick some more ass. But Red Sox-Orioles, that's one of those series that you just sort of passively let happen. And if the Red Sox help you out, you go, thank you. But you don't tweet that you love them. Anyway, Monday, Thursday, 2 o'clock Eastern, the Yanks Go Yard podcast. We're live here on YouTube every single Monday, every single Thursday, except, just kidding, not next Monday. We'll be here on Tuesday to wrap up the weekend series with the Red Sox. Off day Monday, and you'll see us before the games start again on Tuesday. The Yankees' magic number is 7. We're excited about that. That's for clinching a playoff spot. For clinching the East, it's a 2-game advantage in the loss column. The Orioles, I don't think, play today. No. So you can lose a game in the loss column if you lose tonight, but you can't lose a full game. You unfortunately can't gain a game either. You just maintain one of those toughies. Same with the Red Sox. The Twins don't play today, so the Red Sox will be either 4 or 5 out in the loss column after tonight. They cannot be 3 out. They can't gain. The Twins play on Monday, and the Red Sox don't. It'll all even out. Anyway, that's what you got on tap tonight. The Yankees edge closer to the postseason, and we edge closer to some October podcasts. But Thomas Carannante, there's still some stuff to iron out before then.
We sure do. How am I feeling? Did anybody ask? Do you care? I don't know. You might.
It's implied that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't be mad with a series win, right? Can't complain. Can dissect. Am I feeling great? No. I'm feeling good because they did, again, what they were supposed to. And they managed to come through when it mattered most yesterday in the high leverage situation. And I was fully confident they were losing the 9-11 game. Sorry for the pessimism, but again, this team has not won any game with meaning behind it since Aaron Boone took over as manager.
It's true.
It's just what's happened. So yeah, when they're about to exit the 6th inning with 0 runs and getting blanked by another lefty, you're just like, all right, man, I guess just nothing is serious anymore. Did you see that stat? I think it was the 9th last night, the Yankees did not have a runner in scoring position for 16 straight innings. It's just not professional baseball when you have this many talented hitters on the team.
Yeah, through the 10th, they were 0 for 1 with RISP.
Yeah.
because that was the runner. The runner got moved over in the 10th, the free man, and then Wells did a sac fly. So I was like, how could they possibly? Oh yeah, okay. They're 0 for 1 with RISP entering the 11th inning yesterday.
Because they have not been getting anybody in RISP. So I mean, look, outside of the Juan Soto homer, his struggles are real. Outside of Judge's single, couple walks in the series, his struggles are real. The positives are that they're staying afloat despite two of their best hitters not carrying the weight, which again we knew this is not any criticism on Judge and Soto. It's a long season. There are supposed to be these ebbs and flows. Nobody is expecting them to play at the clip that they were for the entire stretch, but the silver lining here is that in various times other parts of the offense have picked them up, which is great. But again, had an opportunity to distance yourself in August to prepare for this inevitable downturn. Didn't. Now kind of still fighting against the current. You get lucky because the Orioles are, man, what are Orioles fans doing? Because that is fucking bad.
What is going on? That's going to be bad. Part of the rant later is based on the Orioles. Like for everybody rooting for the Red Sox to beat the Orioles. I mean, you watching the Orioles? Like, I don't know. You pick your poison there. But, the O's go to Fenway Park and have the two different 2-2 games in the 9th inning last night. And one of them, Anthony Santander, just tied with a cathartic, exhale-inducing home run at Fenway Park. Okay, here we go. Now the Orioles roll. They prove they're the better team. And the Yankees took a 2-1 lead on the Soto home run. Clay Holmes blew it immediately. You feel like you're just fumbling your way towards extra innings where you inevitably lose because that's what they do. But the paths diverged in a yellow wood. The Yankees fall down in the 10th, but it doesn't get out of hand. They tie it back up in the bottom of the 10th in workman-like fashion, do exactly what you're supposed to do. Because if you're the home team, all you really have to do is hold serve there. And if you're the road team, you got to do more than score on a wild pitch. Yeah. Although maybe you don't, because the Yankees have sucked in extra innings all year. Now 5-8. I also sarcastically said last night, well, at least we're getting closer to October where they get rid of the Rob Manfred free guy on second base, because that's when the games start to matter, apparently. And my wife was like, can you put that on tape? And I was like, no, I was being sarcastic. Every game matters, but they seem to believe only the playoff games matter. And she was like, got it. But dumb. Again, the Yankees can't seem to figure out this rule change. It just gives them extra losses. Oh, here, take some more losses. Let's keep those on your team. And then when the playoffs begin, it's back to, blank slate. None of that mattered, except for it gave you some free losses during the season. But Austin Wells does the job. I don't know why the play at the plate was so close on Anthony Volpe. He's very fast. That was Birdie, right? No, it was Volpe in the 10th. It was Birdie in the 11th.
Sorry, yeah.
But the fly ball to MJ Melendez, Wells looking like, I don't know if I got all of it. It's like, that's pretty deep in a left field. Like, I have no idea why Volpe isn't scoring easily there, but he does. And then Luke Weaver does his thing in the top of the 11th. He's probably as close as we're going to get to a defined closer. Yeah. And things have even changed since the show we did on Monday, where we were like, hey, Nestor proved he could do it. Well, he's back in the rotation. He starts tonight. So he did prove it for a potential playoff opportunity, but the Yankees have what you'd want against the Red Sox this week, and the Red Sox not out of it by any means. Nestor, Clark Schmidt, Garrett Cole, although I would prefer to shield Garrett Cole from even an injured Rafi Devers, but Garrett Cole's in there, and then Carlos Rodon. So no Stroman, 6-man rotation for now. They have a little bit of comfort, a little bit of breathing room, still 9 up on that playoff spot. If you're the kind of person who checks the magic number, you don't have to be, because they're 2 up in the loss column on the division right now, because the Orioles, there were nightmare scenarios where the Yankees got swept here and the Orioles put on a show at Fenway. Instead, the Yankees survived some tight games, trailing in the 7th in the opener. Just because that ended 10-4 does not mean that was an easy game. And then surviving in extras in a way they have not done all year in the finale. And they just got blanked by Seth Lugo as prime Pedro midway through the series. And we'll talk about that too. Yeah. But that last game, no walk-off home runs since the Stanton homer against the Pirates in 2022.
That's crazy. 3
walk-offs this year. Tigers, where they rallied from being completely dead out of nowhere. Rizzo walked off. There was another one just a couple of weeks ago. Why can't I remember it? Oh, DJ LeMahieu against Bowden Francis.
Yeah, that was the beginning of August.
Bowden Francis, who's allowed one hit in 4 of his last 6 outings. One hit. Not like, oh, at least one hit. No, one hit. 4 one-hitters in his last 6 starts. DJ LeMahieu got that guy. And then last night again. But I don't know. I don't know if you felt the same way watching it, but the first game of the series, it felt like, okay, they so sloppy, right? Bobby Witt Jr. scores from first on a drop pop-up, Luis Castillo style. The first inning of the game is Chisholm error throw, runner scores from third. And they managed to win anyway because Judge clutches up, to his credit, just a single, but still. Wells clutches up, and then they run away late. That's a game you go, okay, they maybe saved themselves there. Like, that one was a 50-50 ball, and if they lost, we would have said some ugly things about the team play and the tightness and the management. But we didn't have to because they won. Then the middle game is predictably, it's a middle game. It's a middle game in a Yankee series, so they look like shit. And then yesterday, Volpe thrown out at the plate on a ground ball to first. And then you watch the play back, and like, at first you're like, is he crazy? And then you watch it and you're like, okay, he's crazy in a different way. Yeah. Because if he just runs, he scores.
Yeah.
He stopped.
The idea was clearly in his head the whole time, and he just stopped and then waited and then stopped again and then went. And it's like, who is teaching the base running?
Stopped, ran home and was still out by like this much. And then in the bottom of the 9th, if you weren't resigned to it already, I was resigned to it in the bottom of the 9th. Felt like we were wading into another one of those. I mean, who stayed up watching inning after scoreless inning against the Guardians a couple weeks ago when it was like, this is when we're going to walk off. Soto, Judge, oh, never mind. Okay, well, we held them scoreless again. Oh, never mind. Like, who wasn't ready for one of those? When they got to the bottom of the 9th, Stanton comes up, gets that hanging curveball middle, pops it up. Paul O'Neill is like, oh, no. And you're like, yeah, that was the pitch. Verdugo, first pitch rollover, which I think tied the record for most rollovers to second base in a season. And then a quick third out. Once you let him off the hook there and you send it to the 10th inning, advantage Royals significantly, and they still survive. So win 2 out of 3, 2 deeply imperfect games, a lot to tighten up, people to credit. And hey, series winning, it's a team that you might see here again in 2 weeks. And a team that definitely came into this series coming off a big series win, sweep against Minnesota at home, and was like, hey, we have one of the best lefties in baseball, if not the best lefty in Reagans. We have Lugo, who's might be it's probably a top 3 Cy Young finisher this year. And we have Brady Singer, who's a tough righty in the opener. Like, we might not win that opener, but we have a distinct advantage in the last 2. And the Yankees went ahead and said, we're not even going to play our best series. We're not even going to put our best foot forward from a rotation standpoint. And we're still going to take this with some clutch moments that kind of, go on the end of season DVD. We got some moments here.
So that is the silver lining. Yankees weren't at their best. Yankees faced the best of a playoff contender, and they still won a 3-game set, which is great. The bad news is that I feel like we should be better than the Royals, and there should be a little bit more of a, defining win here as opposed to it being an absolute slog. They had 2 good innings in this series, realistically, and they both came in the first game when they went on the rampage on the Royals bullpen late, which got them the 10-4 victory. But that was in spite of defensive inefficiency, which I don't like to see against an athletic team like the Royals. We saw those moments burn them, and you're going to be facing athletic teams in the playoffs who are smart on the base paths, who are smart at taking advantage of, stolen base opportunities when they see something's going on with the pitcher, or they see that Jose Trevino's behind the plate. Continues to be a problem. So, yeah, I mean, I was not a fan of the hype going down the drain too. You bring out the quote unquote death lineup for the Tuesday night matchup, and it couldn't look worse. Don't know how you go down that quietly. I understand Seth Lugo is good. You're going to be facing these pitchers in the postseason. The postseason is 2.5 weeks away. Can't be doing this. So all in all, I think I'm split on how I feel here. I think there is good in the fact they weren't playing to the best of their potential and they managed to win. There's bad in fact that they're still playing sloppy baseball. They're not consistently scoring runs. They really, really, really have to dig for those runs and high leverage moments, and it feels very forced and not natural whatsoever. And again, this team still has not figured, again, like totality, bigger picture wise, this team has still not figured it out since starting 49-21. They have a losing record over that span. They might be in really good shape. Call me a complainer. They might be in really good shape. They have a favorable magic number. They control their own destiny. There's still a lot left to be desired here, and we can talk about what happened last night. Like the bullpen, we'll start with that because that's kind of what fueled all of this. You go to the bullpen after Luis Heel, and Tim Hill gets the job done in that 6th inning, and then Clay Holmes comes in for the 7th. And this is what I was worried about with Clay Holmes and the bullpen switch this late in the season. It's that it's a monumental change, right? Like it's very clear at no point was Clay Holmes' job threatened from a managerial or organizational standpoint until they actually made this change. So there were no conversations where it's like, Clay, you lead the league in blown saves. We're gonna have to start maybe exploring some other things. Not right just yet, but over the next couple weeks. It was clear the carpet was, pulled out from under him, and now he's readjusting to a new role. And the worries with that is because there's a lot of emotions that come with that, right? You're the closer for 3 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And now you simply are not. So there's a come down from that. And I'm not saying that it's insurmountable, but you need longer than 2-3 weeks to kind of get over that. And in addition, like the whole idea of removing Holmes from the 9th inning role was to get him in lower leverage situations, was to get him a little bit more comfortable, have him regain his footing because he clearly hasn't been right in 2.5 months. And what does Aaron Boone do? He doesn't pitch him for 4 days. Then he comes in a meaningless game against the Cubs on Sunday, which you knew they were going to lose because they weren't threatening at any point. Yeah. That was a good game to get him kind of revamped, figured out. Sure. And then 3 days later, he's in the 7th inning of a game the Yankees are leading by 1 in a series in a 15, 16 inning stretch where the Yankees are not moving runners from first to second at all. And he's facing the top of the Royals lineup, and it's a save opportunity. Blows his league leading 12th save of the season by what was it? Walk 2 straight hits or something like that. Like
2 straight hits, line out, sac fly. And what you need to do is, if you're removing Clay Holmes from the closer role because of his 11 blown saves, never give him a chance to blow a save. It doesn't matter what the inning is. Do not do it to him.
So, yeah. And that's my biggest concern because you already have the issue, right, of elevating other people to the closer role. We'll get to this in a second. Luke Weaver's been great, but you have 3 candidates in Tommy Kahnle, Jake Cousins, Luke Weaver. You add Ian Hamilton into the mix. He's got to get up to speed, though, because of his injury. And those are unproven commodities. They just are. Luke Weaver just became a reliever last year and kind of wasn't even fully that until like midway through the year.
This year he was starting for the Yankees last September. It feels like old hat. Feels like old hat now, but it was April.
Yeah. You have Jake Cousins, who was scooped up off waivers this year. You have Tommy Kahnle, who has not been a closer in a really long time and hasn't really pitched consistently in a really long time. And you have Ian Hamilton, who, yes, again, we picked him up last year. We found Ian Hamilton, right? I always get confused if it was 2022 or 2023.
Oh, no, it was early last year, and he was like the only thing that went right.
Yeah, again, guy you picked up off the scrap heap, turned into something positive. That's great. Flip side of that argument, none of these guys should be your closer, in theory on paper, but this is what we have to deal with. So the perils of waiting until the first week of September to remove Clay Holmes from a role that he was not suited for 3 months up until that point has now left Holmes in a precarious situation of having to rediscover himself for 2.5 weeks before the postseason starts, when his most important outings are going to come, when the spotlight's going to be bright no matter the situation he's coming in. And then it's figuring out what the system is going to be for the 9th inning with these other guys, again, all of whom are unproven commodities. That said, At this point, it's trending to be Luke Weaver. I know they're still probably going to mix and match here because there inevitably will be matchup issues. But the good part of this is that I think they do have guys that can rise to the occasion in this, in at least this trio. Plus, you get Hamilton up to speed over these next couple weeks. I'm still not overly confident about it because, again, they're good pitchers who were just recently discovered as good pitchers for the most part, or someone like Canely who hasn't pitched in a really long time and has his first full slate underneath him in a while. But yeah, I just wish this change was made earlier because I think we would have been in a better, if you do this a month ago, now you're in the middle of September and you're like, okay, we're fucking set. Playoffs start in 2.5 weeks. We know what we're doing. Now it's, okay, playoffs start in 2.5 weeks. Think we might have an idea, perhaps. We'll see. But you have Chisholm's first career walk-off. Excellent. Aaron Boone makes the call to get a bat in Austin Wells' hands with a runner in scoring position in the bottom of the ninth. Yes, need that. And then Luke Weaver comes in, 1 2/3 innings, 3 strikeouts, electric save. So, yeah. Again, positives. In my opinion, it still shouldn't be this hard, but beggars can't be choosers, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm so thankful and also pissed that it took the awful blown save in Texas for the Yankees to make this change. But I think end of day, I'm glad that game happened and forced them to look in the fucking mirror. Because, I mean, it was obvious to the rest of us, but maybe they would never have pulled Holmes if LeMahieu doesn't lose a ground ball in the lights. And if Holmes doesn't flub 7, 8, 9 in the ninth, because, you'd have one more win. You'd be one game closer to clinching the things that you need to clinch. But at the same time, you'd probably be clenching too, because Clay Holmes would still be your October closer. I did feel like I was losing my mind in the 6th inning and 7th inning when Holmes was warming up and then coming in.
Yeah.
That stupid TikTok meme I don't understand where it's like, something and a something, like a clothing item and a personality trait. And I just had Clay Holmes in a 1-run game. Clay Holmes in a 1-run game, like ringing through my ears because it's like it's every again. We went through the detailed history when he got removed from the closer role. He can't handle that. Okay, he's got a plethora of 3-0 and 4-1 saves this year, but 1-run game, it's either the bases are borderline loaded or the game is getting blown. So Aaron Boone clearly had the intention of bringing him in down 1-0 in the 6th. That was his lane, and I don't know why, because it included the 1-2 guys and included Bobby Witt Jr., but apparently that was his lane. And then when Juan Soto hits this dramatic home run where he fouls the ball off his foot, he's on the ground, biting his jersey, clenching his teeth, writhing in agony, and he gets up and he homers and adjusts to the curveball. And it's this incredible moment. We're still bringing Holmes into a 1-run game that he's going to blow. He can't handle that. And lo and behold, he comes in, single, hard line out, deep fly ball, and it's over. And it was all sinkers too, until the end of the, once the game was blown, he was like, let me try that slider. Like, he's not comfortable. And the worst part is he's going to make the playoff roster. And why wouldn't he? You're not going to leave him off the playoff roster, but he's supposed to pitch playoff games at Yankee Stadium. Like, that's something we need him to do now.
He's off the mound.
Getting booed off the mound.
In the 7th inning.
7th inning on September 11th in a game that they won. And he's going to be like, well, all I remember is that they booed me. They got a lot of guys on the postseason roster who, like, I would rather not be participating in playoff games. Holmes, Stroman, going to make it, but I don't know what he does unless he's got a caddy for somebody. If somebody falls apart, he comes in the 2nd inning. But other than that, confusing. And then that final spot, it could either be they could carry both Verdugo and Grisham and not carry an extra pitcher, but you always want to carry an extra pitcher. So it's going to be Meza or Leiter or Trevino or Efros or Poteet. Like, Poteet might be my preference, but it's all weird. And Mark Leiter Jr. is probably going to win out because why would we, surrender and wave the white flag on a bad trade deadline acquisition when we could just bring him along for the ride and fulfills the same role as Holmes. Somebody I don't want to see in a 1-run game or a 2-run game, but if they're down 4 in the 6th, he could pitch, I guess. I don't know. You can't carry too many of those guys on the playoff roster, but the Yankees are probably going to be forced to do so. Brief celebration. Jazz Chisholm doing the exact right thing yesterday.
Thank you. Thank you, Jazz.
Juan Soto and Aaron Judge coming up with the runner on second, the free guy, and Soto swings over the top of a perfect 2-1 pitch. You kind of assume he's going to whiff because, again, you know how these extra innings go. He gets jammed, grounds one up the middle, moves the run over. It's fine. It's not what you want to see from Juan Soto. It's, in fact, exactly what he did in that Cleveland game, the eternal one that we can't stop thinking about. He also, graphic flash, he has one walk-off hit in his career. I would love that to be higher.
Kind of crazy.
One as a Nat in early 2021. I would love that to be higher moving forward, but didn't get one yesterday. Judge intentionally walked. That's what a smart manager does. Again, managerial shit. Like Matt Quatraro, I'm not facing Aaron Judge as the winning run here, and I don't care that it's still going to set somebody like Jazz Chisholm up and somebody like Giancarlo Stanton up, but just not doing it. Meanwhile, Aaron Boone, runner on third, 1 out. Salvador Perez at the plate in the 10th inning. They tell Jake Cousins to stay away from him, I guess, and it leads to a wild pitch that scores the run and a walk anyway. But why the fuck are we even trying? 4 fingers. He's 7 for 9 in this series.
I can't keep up, like I can't drill down. Like, that's a great point. I wasn't even thinking about that because I've now become immune to the fact that we don't avoid hitters that will kick our ass, or we don't avoid the better hitters in big spots. Like, team still pitches to Rafael Devers. Can't wait for this weekend to see how that burns us.
Yeah, they're going to do it again.
And I get like having the stones, right? You're like, my best guy versus your best guy. Let's do this, but let's not do this every time. Let's pick and choose our spots where we're going to, assert our dominance. And Salvador Perez, who is second best hitter on this team, kicks our ass frequently.
He's doing crazy stuff, like the double play he started at first, the diving play,
yeah.
Labor. Like, he's a catcher, and I got in the trap of thinking like, this dude's 37 and balling. He's somehow 33, and I'm going to be the one banging the drum for Salvi to the Hall of Fame because I think a lot of people are going to be annoying about it.
He's awesome.
He's awesome. Like, he's awesome. Somehow at 35.8 career WAR, he's got to get over 50. He's 34. He's got to stick around long enough to get to 50. I hope he does. But he's a great baseball player. He's somehow only getting better. He makes the All-Star team every year. And he took over this series and almost single-handedly flipped it. It did what everyone was saying Bobby Witt Jr. would do. Like, oh, wait till you see Witt in person. Witt Judge, MVP duel. And then Salvador Perez was like, actually, I'm the best player on the field every night, defensively, offensively. It does not matter. And they gave him a chance, and he didn't get to swing the bat after all that anyway. They walked him on garbage slider after garbage slider, but the run had already scored. I mean, there's certainly a chance the runner scores anyway, first and third, 1 out, but you minimize the chance of it scoring when you walk Salvador Perez. But Jazz, intentional walk, the infield's in. I didn't think the infield needed to be in there, by the way. Maybe I'm in the minority just because it allows for something like what we saw. You've got Judge at first. You could double him up, but Jazz gets a 2-1 pitch. They're throwing him outside. I would have pitched him inside. They don't. Another weird decision by Bubic, and just goes with it. Ground ball in the hole, hit hard enough that Witt has to dive. Witt had a chance to tag Judge and throw to first, too. If you look at the replay, he's not far from Judge, but the momentum is taking him in the other direction. Pretty unlikely, but then again, so was diving headlong and whipping a throw to home plate with John Birdie running. He did all he could. He came up short, but Jazz followed the pitch where it needed to go. Simple hitting approach with runners in the corners, 1 out. Did not miss. Could have missed. Did not miss. So kudos to Jazz, his first career walk-off. And he said the crowd pop at the end of the 8th inning when we got a K showed him what it's going to be like in October. There were better Ks to end innings, so I'm surprised that was the one that stuck with him. But this crowd has the juice from time to time. They were ready to get let down yesterday, and they absolutely were not, ultimately.
Yeah, Luke Weaver's fastball up in the zone is closer material. I'm not saying he needs to be the full-time closer, but I don't know how this wasn't considered earlier. Again, Clay Holmes' stuff constantly falling into opponents' bat paths. Like, that was his biggest problem. It was his problem last night. Every fucking
the sinker last night. Like, what are we doing? Why is that the pitch you're working on?
It's crazy how easy it is for opposing hitters to hit what, Brandon Hyde called earlier in the season, like the most insane pitch he's ever seen. 98-mile-an-hour bowling ball sinkers. Yeah, but somehow they fall into everybody's barrel, and they keep doing it because it's just there's no – it feels like there's no precision to it. It's just I'm going to throw this ball really hard, and it's going to drop wherever it drops. Like Luke Weaver's fastball, he can pinpoint it, and he can hit the corners, and it's hard to catch up with, and it looks like it's going to be over the plate, and then it deceives you at the last moment. Whereas Clay Holmes, the hitters can say, okay, I know this is coming. I know it's going to be generally in this area. It's going to it's weird to explain. It sounds like I'm an idiot right now, but you watch it, that's just what happens. Like you plan for Clay Holmes' sinker, you're going to run into one. It's what has happened for 3 months against all different types of teams, non-contenders, the best lineups in the world, 7, 8, 9 hitters on middling teams. It never ends. So the fact that it took this long for them to figure this out, again, still a problem for me, but I'll get over it if it materializes sooner rather than later. 2.5 weeks to figure it out. I guess that's it. But what do we need to see for the rest of the regular season? This is one of them. This is atop the list. Probably need to start moving with Luke Weaver in more of the closing save situations, and then mix and matching people on days where he needs rest, or maybe days where the opponent, I don't know, scout opponent's worse against changeups, then fucking throw Canely in there. Why does it feel like there's a lack of information and a lack of scouting with this team? It just always, like, it feels like every team, and again, there could be that edge where it's like everyone's pumped to play the Yankees. The Yankees aren't really pumped to play anybody else because it's not that type of matchup for all the other teams. But every time a team plays the Yankees, it feels like they have us scouted perfectly. Every time we play another team, it feels like we're just throwing shit at a wall.
Yeah.
So that's all I want. I want better scouting with these matchups because, again, it's all of that. Oh, lefty, righty. Yeah, we're doing that. Okay, but what about the reverse splits guys? What about the off-speed stuff? What about the high leverage stuff? Like, there's more to consider here outside of, oh, this is that and that's that and we're done. So bullpen is the biggest thing for me. I think we need to see more out of this death lineup. We'll talk about Dominguez in a minute, but I'm most concerned about the bullpen hierarchy because if this offense is going to go radio silent in the playoffs, which it has done for 7 years now, bullpen is going to need to protect one-run leads. And I foresee that being a large, large issue in 3 weeks' time.
For me, Hamilton is the number 2 closer.
Yes.
Just in terms of all matchups. And so I need to see as much Hamilton in high leverage as I can get. Again, you're holding on to a thin lead in the division. I'll rant about this later, but I'd love the AL East. It would be great. It would feel good to get some days off between rounds, but I can't really genuinely get – you're like not allowed to say you don't want it. And I won't say I don't want it, but it's not a remarkably large advantage in recent years, and it's not like it's an automatic ticket to the ALCS or whatnot. We've watched the Braves get tripped up by the rest twice. So I would like to see Ian Hamilton used in creative ways and important ways, and ways that are determinative, because I need to know what I have heading into October. I want to see, obviously, I think Luke Weaver's my primary closer, but Ian Hamilton is the one I want to see the second most from down the stretch. Hey, Juan Soto, your foot, I need to see that healthy, by the way.
I'm not concerned about that, but yeah.
I'm not terribly concerned, but I think we maybe should have done some imaging today, and I'm going to need him to maybe take it easy at DH tonight. We have Dominguez up now. We can move pieces around. Like,
or guess what? Could give him the fucking night off.
Juan Soto could get the night off. That's all we're saying here. Like, these games are important.
Yeah.
Very important. But Juan Soto could get a night off. He does not have to play every single day. And the replies will be absurd if he does, but he's allowed to get a break. He's allowed to get a half day. So's Judge, who has sucked for like 3 weeks. It's fine. It's fine, but he's allowed a DH, and he's also allowed to take some time off if he needs it. Because he was bad in April too, and then he was the scorching, absolute hellspawn demon of all of Major League Baseball for 4 months. And he needs maybe a little bit of something, some sort of reset. And hey, does iron continue to sharpen iron here? Because Alex Verdugo, who has been surprisingly solid since the batting glove allergy was announced, although dreadful yesterday, homered Monday in the Dominguez return game, which was extremely predictable, but also very funny. It was both predictable and not at all. Like, it would have been if the Red Sox had done it, I would have been like, oh, so predictable. But the Yankees haven't had a moment like that in a while. So it's nice that it cashed. Is he going to continue to be a valuable piece heading into October? His quote after Monday's game was the best quoting Yankees given in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Even better than the Nestor quote we talked about on Monday's show about, like, I understand it's going to impact my playing time. I don't care. I want to win. Want to do whatever it takes to win. So right now, mentally, for me, I'm carrying Alex Verdugo this October as a bench piece over Trent Grisham, who I haven't seen in weeks and who provides defense and pop. But if Verdugo is going to show more pop and Verdugo is going to be more poised and composed, then I want Verdugo on the bench and an extra pitcher, and Grisham can do whatever he wants. I would not have him on my playoff roster. I am obviously non-tendering him after this season. Get on Verdugo, and we all did for not running hard to first the other day. It's not like Grisham is any better. The Reds play will stick in my mind for the rest of the year when he just kind of looped around a ground ball single, dropped it, fumbled it, guy went to second in the middle of a sweep at the hands of a middling NL Central team. Like, I'm having a tough time with. Thank you, Trent Grisham, for the deep fly ball that Tyler O'Neill misplayed into a double that helped tie the most exciting win of the year at Fenway Park and turn the Yankee season back around. But that should have been an out, and that bought Trent Grisham a lot of goodwill that he's squandered for me. So I hope Verdugo continues to show me that he's been motivated by the Jasson Dominguez call-up, because I actually think he has a place on this team in October. I don't think it's as an everyday starter. I sure hope not, but I would like to see him on the roster, which I would not have said 2 weeks ago, probably. Which brings us to the death lineup, which Jasson Dominguez has called up for the first game of the series, somewhat unexpectedly. Aaron Boone calls the roster of fluid moving organism or something, which is a classic, hilarious new degree of bullshit.
Did you fucking hear what he said, like, when they were talking about the importance of the 9/11 game?
No.
It's just nobody can speak, man. He's just like, yeah, you know, it's an important day, and it was a sad day. And obviously, we're honored to maybe. And then there was just silence. And it was just like, dude, all you got to do is say, we're happy to represent our city. It's 9/11. We know that the scars run deep from this moment in time in history. And we really hope to bring home a win for the crowd and for everybody else who was affected by this, everybody who's watching the Yankees. It's like every fucking response to every question from this guy and from so many other people in the organization, it's like they're racking their brain to make sure they don't say something wrong. And in reality, you should just be asking yourself, why would you even say something wrong in this situation to begin with? It's just disheartening. It's so crazy how contrived every response is, and there's nothing genuine. Anyway.
The living, breathing organism, at the very least, did live and breathe earlier this week. There was no room for Dominguez on Friday. Suddenly there was room for him to get regular reps on Monday. And then Tuesday, they engage what we call the death lineup, because it's like, all right, Seth Lugo, like, pretty good starter, very good year. Yankees got to him. The Seth Lugo Yankees experience this year has been hilarious, because they kind of got to him a little bit in the first game where they faced each other this year with arguably the worst lineup they put out all year. Jahmai Jones was in right field. Remember, it was the game where it was like, oh my God, Michael Tonkin saved it. It was like, oh, bunting. Like, maybe this terrible lineup is better than the good one, because they put up 4 on Seth Lugo and they're running and they're taking the extra base. And the answer was, actually, that lineup wasn't very good, but it's funny they beat Seth Lugo. And then they roll out the death lineup for him with Dominguez, Soto, Judge in the outfield, no deficiencies. Stanton and Volpe back in there instead of Cabrera, playing the percentages lefty-righty. And they just go down as meekly as this team ever has. First game in Yankees history with no runs, no earned runs, and 14 Ks. Like, just absolutely devastatingly dominated by a pitcher who's in the middle of an all-star season. Pick and choose his speeds, changes speeds very fluidly, just like the organism that is the Yankees roster. Very good starting pitcher, but not that good. And he just rocked them to bed. So Dominguez gets the night off against the tough lefty. In Reagan's, he's worse from that side of the plate, even as a switch hitter. Made something happen. Created one run out of nowhere with single, moved to second, stolen base, scored on an overthrow. But other than that, not totally in rhythm yet. It's not his fault the death lineup died. It's just very frustrating that we were like, here's a playoff preview, finally, and then it just completely flatlined.
Yeah. I need more plays like Dominguez had on, what was it? Monday?
Tuesday did nothing.
Tuesday
Monday,
was nothing. Yeah.
Monday
Tuesday was a disaster. Monday he had, took the extra base, scored on an error, or advanced on an error, scored on a sac fly, or whatever it was. That's what I need to see more of. I need less. The defense needs to tighten up. The base running needs to tighten up. You would hope that this lineup on Tuesday would be a precursor to better things. I think we can't be judging it after one poor outing, but it is very classic for that to be the outcome in the first time the Yankees debut something that the fans have been dying for. Mm-hmm. And it's perfect for Brian Cashman to just be like, oh, yeah, see, everything you asked for, we gave it to you, and look how it turned out. That's what he's thinking in his head.
Yeah,
it's exactly what he's thinking. But in terms of how this team needs to get back on track a little bit, like Dominguez needs more playing time. He needs more moments to be himself and show off his athleticism and be aggressive on the base paths and all that type of stuff. On top of that, like, there just needs to be consistency, and there hasn't been any consistency from really Soto and Judge consistent. Jazz has been great ever since arriving after the trade deadline. Austin Wells has been having a really good last couple months that's propelled him in the Rookie of the Year race. But my question is, how is that not translated into more of a defining stretch for the Yankees, right? You have all these good players. You have some of these players catching fire. You have Gleyber Torres in the leadoff role. Let's give him props. 2 multi-hit games this series. I think he had 5 hits.
Still good. He was great. Yeah. And he got robbed, like we said, by Sal Perez. So when he comes up now, I go, okay, he's going to do what he should. Like, a lot of line drives into right center, which is my favorite Gleyber swing.
Yeah, really good. So you have all these guys, like Gleyber's hitting his stride. All the other guys that I mentioned, Giancarlo Stanton's gone cold. That's not anything that this team is unfamiliar with.
That happens. It is what it is.
Volpe still really not doing anything for the most part. So, but you have half the lineup who has either been really good or at least has the presence in the plate, and the Yankees are still kind of waffling. So, and you can't waffle in the postseason. There needs to be more consistency. There needs to be more of, the first inning troubles too with the starting rotation. Like, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. Like, I know Marcus Stroman didn't give up any runs in that 5-0 game, but got into trouble early. Doesn't look good. On Monday, they give up a run in the first. Hey, they got a win after giving up a run in the first inning. Did we note that?
Hey.
Did we note that? We forgot, guys. They lose every game. They give up a run in the first inning. This one, they went down 2-0 by the third, and they end up winning 10-4. So, like, you have the punch back here. You have the ability to produce runs. And my issue, again, is you do that Monday, right? You score 10 runs after scoring – how many did they score over the weekend? 6 against the Cubs?
Yeah. They got 1 on Sunday, right? Yeah, so 6 runs.
3 and 2. Yeah, so they score 6 over the weekend against the Cubs, and you're like, damn, how do you not sweep a series where the opponent scores 0 earned runs? You should do that. Monday, they respond. Here's fucking 10 for you. And then the next night – Seth Lugo has an historic outing at Yankee Stadium, the first of its kind, to go 7 shutout while giving up no extra base hits and striking out 14 batters. And the Yankees, I think, walked. No, they didn't walk at all.
No.
They had 3 hits and 0 walks. So it's like, I need a semblance of riding with momentum. I need a semblance of consistency. I need some of these roles to define themselves. I need the cohesion of the team to come together. The thing that is bothering me with the Yankees is they, on paper, have a pretty good team. You look at it and you're like, oh, it's a good team. Any non-Yankees fans would say, oh, yeah, you look at your lineup. You have a really good squad. And it's like, yeah, we do, but it's not translating to anything. When the lineup sucks, the pitching's good. When the pitching's good, when the pitching's bad, the lineup's good, and it never lines up. And you have all these issues, and it stems from an intangible vibe, character, whatever, clubhouse thing, and I don't know what it is, but they got to figure it out because, like I said, still a losing record since starting off the season. with all that cushion, and they built up that cushion, and they still only have a 1.5 game lead, right? It's 1.5.
It's 1.5. It's
Yeah.
2 in the loss
2 in the
column.
loss column.
But if you're tied, you lose unless you. This is the stand. I love talking the standings this time of year because you always get into paradoxes where people try to act smart and don't think things through. They will lose the tiebreaker to the Orioles unless they sweep the final series in the Bronx. And people keep saying that. It's like, guess what? I think if they sweep the final series in the Bronx, they're probably winning.
They're not tying.
I don't think they're tied at that point. Like, we'll see. I don't know, but it would be much likelier that they're just winning outright if they sweep the final series in the Bronx. But yeah, they do manage to take a 2-game lead into this Red Sox series. We've joked enough about, I mean, look, Aaron Judge and the Paw Patrol curse. I don't know how much more there is to say about it other than like it appears to be. It coincides nicely with a slump. It's a very funny thing for everybody to be jabbering about while the Yankees actually kind of do get on their feet. But yeah, no home runs since Paw Patrol, where they threw a Paw Patrol watch party in the outfield with the whole team and their families after the Rockies win on that Sunday when Judge homered twice. And you're like, this guy just homers every day and he always does it twice. Like, this man is absurd. And since then, no homers of any kind. He's been respectable lately. He's been taking his walks. That big RBI single in the opener was great, but we're approaching the longest homerless streak of his entire career. If we haven't already passed it, I think maybe we tie it tonight. I don't think we've passed it. We've definitely gotten as longest since 2017. That 2017 stretch was awful. That was when he tore his shoulder up doing the home run derby and was like, I'm fine, but clearly was not fine and found his ground at the end of the year and had some playoff homers. But this is I don't want to say this is the worst he's ever been because that was probably April, but this is the worst he's been in power-wise ever in his entire career. So, I don't think we're being greedy. It's not like you got a homer every day or else I'll be mad at you. Like, this is the worst he's been in terms of home run output. So do we blame animated dogs? Do we blame real dogs? Or do we blame Springfield, Ohio and their dogs? I mean, I don't know who we blame, but I think Aaron Judge probably needs a feel-good homer against like Cutter Crawford or Cooper Criswell tonight or something. Just get one out.
Look, all I hope is that you get it out of your system now because Aaron Judge in this season cannot afford another postseason like last year. That's it. I mean, that's just, it is what it is, man. It's a demanding space in New York, and I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't think anyone's getting on him for this slump. Like,
no,
guy's got 50-something home runs. Like, yeah, he's totally, he doesn't have to homer for 20 games and it would be fine. But the swinging over the sliders, we've seen quite a bit of that over the last 3-ish weeks. The grounding into the double plays, it's going to happen. We know that it's a reality. It's part of the game. But this type of stretch that he's having right now, akin to what happened in April, cannot happen. It has to stop by the time this team takes on the Orioles. That's probably that's probably the most generous you can be with this. This team cannot afford to have a semblance of this in the postseason. It's going to all hang on him and Soto once again. At that point, it will be up to the contributing members of the team to step up and really differentiate and show the rest of baseball why this is a more balanced lineup than perhaps Luis Severino previously believed, or perhaps the greater baseball community previously believed. We, like I said, seen Glaber take off. Jazz has been awesome. Austin Wells cementing himself as a middle of the order bat here for the foreseeable future. Volpe at the bottom of the lineup should, in theory, be a threat and should generate runs for this team. It needs to come together at some point. The engine is still going to be Judge and Soto. And I hope that these guys are just getting whatever's happening out of their system now, because that's that. It's going to happen. We understand it. Baseball's full of slumps, full of cold stretches. Nobody's impervious to it, but there needs to be some sort of cohesion leading up to these next couple weeks, next 3.5 weeks before they hopefully avoid the wild card round. Please avoid it.
Does the Paw Patrol thing work in reverse? Do we need to get Clay Holmes on Paw Patrol? I'm just checking in. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit mad at Yankee fans this week. I understand your intentions were good.
Yeah, let's do it.
I understand. I get it. Look, I totally get it. Again, winning the AL East would be fantastic. Banishing the Orioles to the wild card round, I love it. It's just the enthusiasm for me that I had a tough time with, because the Red Sox and Orioles are playing at Fenway Park while the Yankees and Royals are playing at Yankee Stadium. Every Yankees win means the Royals move further down the wild card ladder and lose ground, because every Red Sox win and Orioles win means either the Orioles are distancing themselves or the Red Sox are getting closer. And you're also rooting for the Twins to win, so they keep that final spot and don't let the Red Sox in. So that's bad for the Royals. If the Twins swapped with the Royals, then suddenly the Red Sox would be trying to gain on the Royals. It's all very uncomfortable. And it made my brain into a little bit of a pretzel where I'm just hoping for, hey, Yankees wins as many as I can get. Maybe the O's win one. Maybe the Sox win the next one. Whoever doesn't win the preceding game and Red Sox O's wins, that keeps it even, whatever. The uncomfortable reality is the Red Sox are not out of the playoff race yet. And so if you are rooting for the Red Sox actively as you're looking for the Yankees to expand their AL East lead, you are rooting for them to get closer to an October berth 20 years after 2004 and that spectacular comeback, a season defined by comebacks against all odds. And there's a Netflix crew filming the Red Sox, and it's the 20th anniversary of that season that Bostonians will never forget. And you're saying get hot? You're saying you're saying love that dirty water when they beat up the O's 13-2? At least have a little bit of shame. Root for close Red Sox wins. Don't root for them to blow Baltimore out. Don't root for Tyler O'Neill to walk the Orioles off yesterday. You can do what I did, which is acknowledge that both outcomes in Baltimore would be fine.
Yeah, or just stay quiet. Like
Sox win, O's win. You do a little subtle fist pump because somebody's losing ground. You're either gaining ground in the East or knocking the Red Sox further down the peg. And as long as the Twins won, it wasn't the biggest deal in the world. But I'm sorry, the Red Sox are coming into town now. And so you're rooting for them to get some cathartic wins and keep their playoff hopes alive at Fenway Park against the O's. And now they're coming to you. And now they believe. So the calculus for me, honestly, is not necessarily how do we win the East, but it's do you want to encounter the Red Sox in the playoffs? Because if they get in and they're the 6 seed or the 5 seed, there's a good chance you're seeing them in the first round in a 2 out of 3. And you haven't won a playoff series against the Red Sox since 2003. So, yeah, I don't want to see the Orioles in the playoffs, I guess. But based on the way they're trending, I don't mind that as much as I would mind even giving the Red Sox even a shot at October redemption. They don't belong in the playoffs at all. They're 2 games over 500. They shouldn't be there. And if you rooted for them to get a couple of wins to sneak in, and then suddenly they're your problem, I can't stomach that. That's your move. The Yankees also had a division lead entering every game of Red Sox Orioles. So we want them to expand that lead for sure. But you're not rooting to take the division back. You're not 3 back rooting desperately for the Orioles to fall closer to you. You're just rooting for insurance against the Yankees fucking up, for more of a margin of error. Because if the Yankees just take care of business from here on out, win the games they got to win, they're in the driver's seat. Like if they win the Orioles series, they're in the driver's seat. Root for the Yankees to win. Don't root for someone else to do your business for you, because then all of a sudden that team that you rooted for, your chief rival, is coming in to face you, and they're angry and they're fired up and they believe that they can come get that playoff spot. They're 4-game back in Minnesota. They play Minnesota 3 times next week. Yeah. They want you right now. So if you're going to root for them and you're going to go on social media and say like, yes, love that dirty water, go Sox, did us a favor. I mean, again, totally fine to sort of feel that odd sense of relief of like, okay, I'll take that Red Sox win that actually did something for us. But if you're being bombastic about it, think of it. No Red Sox fan would ever do that for you. They would never say, let's go Yanks. Go beat up the Rays during some September, division. Unless the Yankees were eliminated, then they could have a little fun with it. But I can stomach a Red Sox win. I can never root for one. And now the Yankees have to stand on business. There's no team I want standing in between the Red Sox and a playoff spot less than the New York Yankees. Because now it's on us. Now it's our responsibility to keep them out of there. And they routinely punk us. So we'll see. They're energized now.
the biggest thing for me, it's loser mentality, right? Everybody knew over these since a week ago, the Yankees have controlled their own destiny. So all you have to do is sit there and root for the Yankees to win.
Yeah.
So you have a loser mentality if you don't believe in your team to win and you're banking on another team helping you out, and you're stooping to really dangerous karmic territory here by rooting for the most hated team in the history of the franchise that stole your identity. I'll say it.
Yeah.
Ruined the Yankees' identity 20 years ago. Caused this spiral that we've been embroiled in. I understand we won in 2009.
Thank God for that, because if
Yeah.
not, then this would be an even more unhinged podcast.
Yeah, imagine how laughable the Yankees would be in general if they hadn't won in 2009 or didn't win any of those years, because they spent $1 billion to try and win and get over that hump. And it's definitely awesome that they pulled that off. It's definitely great that we celebrated that team this year. But man, if that doesn't happen, this franchise is in really bad shape, having not won a World Series since 2000. And, you look at the loss to the Diamondbacks in 2001, 9/11 just passed. Brutal to have lost that series in the year where that tragedy had happened. You lose 0-3 against the Marlins, where it was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You have 0-4 against the Red Sox, and then you have the fumbling in between against the Indians and the Tigers, and then whatever the fuck happened from 2010 to 2016. It's like, this is a bad stretch of, in franchise history. And to even like, we've talked about Astros versus Red Sox too. It's like, nope, give me the fucking Astros. Don't really care.
Every time. 10
Every
out of
fucking
10.
time. Don't care. Sorry. Yeah, they cheated. The morals. Yeah, absolutely. Red Sox also cheated. Red Sox have also been slimy forever.
Isn't it weird that the Red Sox haven't been as good since they won 108 games in 2018, and Alex Cora was proven to be cheating both in 2017 and in 2018?
Yeah, there's
proven, not just suspected, and then they haven't been that great since then.
I'm so sick of the Alex Cora talk. He had one good year and then a fluky 2021 run, which, we've seen plenty of teams go on over these last, probably since 2016, 2017. Like, that's what's happened when there's been more parity.
But he's going to have the fucking laundry cart this week. I tell you that much right
now.
Oh, whatever you love to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have loved the Red Sox limping into this series and us having to control our destiny, coinciding with that. Like, yeah, sure, if we had only a half game up on the O's and we just had to take care of business and the Red Sox were here and the Red Sox were down bad and they needed a miracle to get back to the playoff race, like, yeah, it would have been great. Sure, on the flip side, the Yankees don't step on their opponent's throats. So
yeah, probably wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, there's an argument to be had there, but to have even the thought of rooting for the Red Sox at any point for you to continue to control your own destiny, like, it's the look, I'm not being old man or old uncle, but it's the younger generations who just don't get it, and they won't understand it, and it's fine, but just stop doing it.
Well, shout out again to the Royals, who had a 7-game losing streak in there, and the Twins, who lost 16 of 21. It's really your fault that the Red Sox are not eliminated yet, because they aren't. Like, I'm the first one to be like, why? How are they doing this? They're playing above their heads. They're not really. They're a 500 team playing 500 baseball.
Yep.
They're 74 and 72. They've been all right. That's probably exactly what I thought they would do this year. That's basically what they did last year. They've been one of the worst teams in baseball in the second half. They're 21 and 29 since the All-Star break. I mean, they're kind of being what a lot of people, maybe they're better than some people thought, but I thought they'd be 500 adjacent. They're right there. But you all let them back in. They're still here, and now we got them off the hook. Yeah, you did let them off the hook, and they are exactly who I thought they were. But they're fine. They've bossed the Yankees around being worse than this, and this will be a challenging series. It would have been whether they came in hot or not, but yeah, it certainly will be now. The Yankees are going to have to play their best game, and if you could take a couple, you staunch their momentum. So take a couple. See what you could take 2. Try to take 3. Hey, maybe you take 4. I don't know. It's not going to be easy. Take every game one at a time. It's not going to be easy. And they're throwing some tired arms at you, and you're throwing some arms you're confident in at them. But again, who knows? And if a runner's on third with 1 out in extra innings, you can walk fucking Rafael Devers. Maybe. I don't know.
I like that. You know what? When you manage the team, you can make those calls.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, that's asinine. It's asinine for you to say that. Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Okay.
I mean, Tyler O'Neill does have 30 home runs and 33 RBI this year. But other than that, I think I'd probably stay. Yeah, I'd like to stay away from Rafael Devers, please. That's it. We'll see you back here on Tuesday. The whole Sox series will be over. Luckily, it's at Yankee Stadium. Even though the Sox play worse at Fenway, I still tell you what, if we had to go there for 4 games right now, I would be throwing up vomit from my stomach and mouth. So Yankee Stadium, food into bile, into water. I just would not be able to keep anything down. But Yankee Stadium, 4 games, pressure's on, but you're not like being crushed by the pressure. Try to win tonight. If you don't win tonight, try to win tomorrow.
Just try.
Get some wins. Try to get some.
None of what we saw on fucking Tuesday. That's it.
Not that. Tanner Houck's coming down with a bit of a shoulder thing. He's scheduled to start tomorrow. That might end up being Richard Fitts instead. Wouldn't that be Richard Fitting? If it is, start Verdugo. That might be fun. Anyway, Yankees Red Sox. I always wish it was totally meaningless. It was close this year, but it's not. There's meaning. There's meaning behind it. So let's go Yankees, win some baseball games. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. You can find us live here every Monday typically, but next Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern and on all podcast platforms in the aftermath. Thomas Carannante, where can the people find you?
I'm at Tommy's_takes. We are both at the official Yanks Go Yard Twitter account at Yanks Go Yard FS. Please like and subscribe to the Yanks Go Yard YouTube channel. We'd be grateful for it. We've been doing some good service lately following this team and informing you. So, just a little click for us and everybody will feel good. Head on over to yanksgoyard.com. Plenty of content there for you when we're not on the airwaves. So if you're sick of hearing us, you can read us. Maybe it's better that way. I don't know. But wall-to-wall coverage of the Yankees down the stretch, heading into the postseason. A lot of stuff. We just projected the playoff roster today. Come on. Join in on the fun. Let's hear what you think. Enjoy yourselves this weekend. Yankees Sox. I'd say we used to be excited for it. Now it's just pins and needles, and it's like, just get me the fuck out.
I mean, I'm more inclined to enjoy it now than I was when they were just spiraling in disaster mode, and Clay Holmes was still the closer, and Yoshida was baiting him with, don't throw me a sinker low and in. Oh, you did. Oh, let's go. Yeah. Anything but that. Oh, never mind. I kicked your ass. Got some wiggle room.
It's a good test. It's a good test. Now you got your rivals coming to town. They want to beat you. You literally have to beat them. You have no other choice. So fucking win.
The Yankees 4 games swept the Red Sox in a similar situation in 2022. That was great. Every game was close, and they all went New York's way. I think that's an unreasonable expectation, but play similar ball. Win yourself some games. Just see what you can do. And again, if you lose once, regroup. They lost the worst game they could lose a couple months ago against Boston, and the next day, 3 Ben Rice homers. So treat every game like a game you have to win. See what you can do. They're not going to roll over and die for you. Alex Cora, if there's one thing he's good at, it's motivating his team, and his team don't need no motivation right now because they want a playoff spot. So he's going to be fired up. Why don't you match him? We'll see you back here on Tuesday. We'll talk about how it went. Thanks for joining us.